Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. Radiant blessings to all of you, my enlightened ones. Good morning, Dragana. Good to see you. I'm going to let everybody jump on here for just a moment. I've got my chat going. We are going to talk today about how to stop, drop, and meditate. So we are going to have a really rich conversation around what meditation really is and why it matters, and share some different ways that maybe you don't realize you can activate a practice of meditation that doesn't have to look and feel like what you've always thought. It's not necessarily you got to sit and be chanting or sit and just follow your breath. There are many different ways that you can get engaged in your own practice for meditation. I'm also going to throw down a challenge today, so I hope y'all are ready. As you are jumping on, please just say hi. Let me see that you are here. Just say good morning or hello or something in the chat. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me and want to know who I've got joining on the call. I can't always see, for whatever reasons, I can't always see people unless you activate and comment. So that being said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, again, wherever you're coming in from, and just truly radiant and beautiful blessings to all of you. I hope you are finding this community to be providing you with some incredible tools and strategies and just a way to connect into a higher consciousness for yourself and collectively for each other. And so today I got my little 80s vibe going on here, but I am, let's talk a little bit about meditation. I don't know about some of you, I know for me, and still struggle with that sometimes, that when I hear the word meditation, sometimes there's some resistance that shows up. And so when that happens, hugs to you too. When that happens, it's, hey, Mel. And when that happens, there's a space of us sort of like resisting or creating that contraction around what we think it is and what we think it's going to mean for us. And some of us have a real fear. I know for me that sense of quieting down, that sense of getting into really wanting to listen to what I've got to say to myself and what that inner guidance is going to tell me, I think sometimes can be fearful. I think it can be easier sometimes to say, well, I just don't know. I don't have to take responsibility. And there is a responsibility that comes with opening up those channels for greater knowing, greater guidance, and ways that we can tune into infinite possibilities that are available to us. And so I say that because, one, I want to talk a little bit about what meditation is. It is a practice. It is an art and science around how we can pay undistractable attention to what's truly real, to reality. Oftentimes, not oftentimes, we are, as humans, living in a vast world of illusions. It's a vast world based on perceptions, conditioning, programming, stories that we've told ourselves, based on experiences, based on things that have been handed to us from a generational legacy, that have been passed on through cellular memory. We have different things that are showing up that we think are real, when actually it is the illusion that we're living in. And so meditation is the opportunity for, yes. Oh, that's funny. I'm going to share that saying. So yes, it's an old Zen saying. I love that you posted that, Dragana. It is an old Zen saying that says, and I'm actually going to put this up there right now. And we're going to put it up there again, right? So it's one of my favorite sayings is you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day. Unless you are really busy, then you should meditate for an hour. And so we're going to talk about that because it's actually going to cue us up for our challenge today. Because what happens is most of us are like, I'm too busy to meditate. And the thing is, the busier you are, the more you actually need to be in a practice of meditation, because it's only in that stillness, it's only in that ability to have that undistractable focus and attention on reality, on truth, on universal realities and things that are around us, that we can truly get our answers and open up access for infinite possibilities and infinite abundance, infinite prosperity, infinite things that can be really meaningful and impactful for us in this life. And so if you remember, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so in order for us to tap back into that spiritual space of our own inner knowing and guidance, we need the ability to sit down and be still. And so stillness can look like a lot of different things. And one of the things I want to lean into today is, while there are over hundreds of practices and techniques and ways that you can meditate based on, and these come from various religions, various spiritual practices and beliefs, various cultures. They come from different cultures. They come from a whole lot of different things, where when we recognize that meditation, I mean, when you're talking more than hundreds of meditation techniques that are, from tradition, culture, religion, spiritual practices, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, you start to see that there's a vast array of options available to us around what we can lean into and what we can put and activate into practice for ourselves. And so I say that because there is no right way to meditate. There are ways to access things in a more powerful and connected, and there are things that have worked for people, especially when they are getting started. And it's all about you finding what resonates most for you, especially as I put down this challenge that I am going to engage in and I'm going to fully activate come Monday, and give myself a space to warm up this weekend, because I have, like many of us, gotten off of some of my meditative practice. I do my spiritual practice in the morning, and there are times when I find excuses not to create that 20 minutes or more for my meditation, for my practice, for my ability to be still. And so this is an opportunity for you to create a different level of seeing for yourself. And when you think about, I had posted this a while ago, it's that space of seeing beyond what your eyes can comprehend. It's the seeing that becomes more of a knowing. It's that inner guidance. It's that intuitive hit. It's that downloads. You hear people, and I get those. I know for me, and I'm going to talk about why walking meditations is one of my favorite forms of meditating, because I am my entire wiring is I get incredible energy and incredible nutrition from being in nature. And so when I get to walk Peyton among the trees and I am deeply connecting to what's happening there, I oftentimes get downloads, or I get these very intuitive hits that drop in. In fact, I'm in the process of writing my next book, and most of my book has been written on walks with Peyton. It's when I'm in nature, it's when I'm in trees. And so I have a lot of my book down on my phone, because all of a sudden I get a frame, or I get a story, or I get something that comes through. And that only happens because I've put myself in a place to connect inward, because meditation is all about connecting into our inner being. It's connecting into that space of real connectedness to everything that creates the oneness. And so when you think about, we have everything that we already need. Oftentimes we think we have to go make things happen. We think we have to go create to get things activated, to get things moving, when in reality, all we need to do is access that which we already have. It's already available to us. And meditation can be the gateway, can be the pathway to allow us to open up access to that space. And so I say that because when we talk about meditation, one of the things I want you to consider, and this is why I'm going to throw down the gauntlet for the challenge today, is that meditation is not a lifestyle. It's not something that's a fad. It's not something that you're like, okay, I'm going to do this for a couple weeks and then that's it. I want you to actually change the mindset around how do you embrace a practice of meditation as a way of living? Because I love the way that Michael Beckwith says this when he talks about, we have social contracts we create with other people. It's why we brush our teeth. It's why we take showers. It's why some of us put makeup on or do our hair. It's why we get ready to make ourselves presentable when we go out and engage with other people. There is a social contract that says, I'm going to create a practice of hygiene, a practice of cleansing myself, a practice of making myself and preparing myself to be ready to be seen in the world. What we forget is we need to have the social contracts that are not just about our appearance and how people physically take us in, how they see us, but we also need to look at how do we create that hygiene or that social contract, that shower for the internal part of who we are as well. It's one of the reasons why I talk about bookends, because it's only when we prime the tank, it's only when we put ourselves in a position to say, what is the intention for how I want to show up and how I want to serve? And if we go back to that space of leadership is ultimately a choice, It really is a space of us understanding that in order for us to be leading at our highest and best capacity, and the gifts that are innate and have been given to us as a way to serve. Because again, if you remember what I talked about last time, our gifts are not ours. Our gifts are the world's, and they're here to be activated for us to open up and lift others through their gifts. Our gifts are to help others activate their gifts. It's part of the whole chain of how humanity works. And it's only when we can set clear intention and focus to say, I know this is what's being channeled through me. This is what's presenting. This is how I get to do that. And so meditation is that space of creating that internal social contract, or that internal shower, so that you can make sure you're cleansed, you're ready, that you've prepared yourself for your inner game, so that when you show up and you are engaging and interacting with others, that you are bringing your best self forward. Too often we bring all the residual crap. That's the head trash. That's the thing that's coming off energy from another engagement that's got us all twisted, right? Meditation allows us a space to open up the portal, to completely cleanse, to set our intention, to choose how we're going to show up and how we're going to be, and allow our gifts to be channeled through us with ease and grace, so that we're not always trying to push and make things happen. So does that make sense for everybody? I hope, as we start talking about what meditation is. We're also going to talk about how to activate this very simply, and how you can start. Some of you are doing deep practices of meditation, and I honor you, because like I said, I know for me, this has been a place that I have struggled with. And I'm just being very open and transparent that I've had resistance around creating an ongoing practice and a way of living. Again, not a lifestyle, because I have tried to do the lifestyle. And the thing is lifestyle oftentimes has a window. It has an expiration date. And so we'll say, I'm on a new lifestyle diet. We need to look at it as a way of being and a way of living in this world. And when we start to understand that it is a social contract that we are engaging with, that says, I am going to prime the tank. I am going to open up access for what needs to present and channel through me, so that I can show up and serve at my highest and best capacity. And the only way we do that is to access what is inside of us, and to allow our inner guidance to direct and recalibrate our due north at any point. So the meditation is about really finding our due north. And it's around getting ourselves in a place that's grounded and centered with clear intention, that allows us to find our path, so that we can then be an expression of our soul, which again is that source of unlimited light, where we are standing in that place to be powerfully connected into light, inspiration, generosity, compassion, empathy, whatever you want to call that, healing, so that we can create that shift in consciousness. We can create that ability for real healing, and then stepping into truth, moving past that illusion and realizing that we are connected as one. And that when we get back to a place of real love, there's so much more that we can open and accomplish from that standpoint. So any thoughts or questions about that before I move on and talk about what are some of the ways, as we think about opening up and activating this fresh way of seeing, what are some of the ways or the differentiations between some of the techniques and practices that are available? So I'm just going to see if there's any thoughts or comments on that before I move forward, because I love when you guys are here and engage, and it helps to activate this space. So any thoughts or comments so far? I'll give you a moment. Okay, I'll let those comments come in. One of the things I want you to think about is there are distinctions around what type of meditation might be calling for you. And so there's a difference between, for example, as I did that, there we go. Let me do it. Between guided and unguided meditation. And so let's talk about that just in the simplest of terms. A guided meditation is when you have a teacher, someone who is literally guiding you through a pathway. They are guiding you through the space around what the meditation is for. So they are helping you understand the purpose and exploring how your mind is working and behaving in relation to the meditation that's being presented. So it's explaining how you are activating, things within your own being as you are being guided through a particular technique, a particular vision, a particular strategy. It's usually a way, and then what they do is that teacher usually offers a way for you to integrate that into your everyday practice. So oftentimes those guided meditations can be someone walking you through a visualization. For example, you're walking through a garden and they help you really bring that to life. And then they allow you to channel whatever needs to come through in terms of messages or downloads or things. And then oftentimes they tell you how you can integrate that into an everyday practice and how you can tap back into that technique or that practice that they shared with you. So the guided meditation is someone else helping you navigate through that pathway. The unguided meditation is a place where typically it's a place of silence. Sometimes you may have music or chimes or something in the background, but oftentimes it's a silent space where you are feeling into your body and you are following your breath. And what happens is you then are able to employ or activate a practice or technique you might know for yourself. And it might be a mantra. It might be a visualization. It might be sound baths, which could be chimes or gongs or bowls. So it may be something that you're introducing as a practice that you already feel comfortable with. And it may just be sitting with an intention and allowing whatever to show up either through your body or through your mind and following your thoughts. And so I'm going to give you some examples of what some of these look like in just a moment. But the difference is simply between, are you allowing yourself to be self-directed or are you having someone guide you through the process? So essentially that is just the difference. And for a lot of people, I know for me, when I started meditating, because I got a lot of monkey mind going on, guided meditations work better. Somebody helping me focus on something or a vision or a picture or whatever that is, somebody being able to help me describe, taking me out of where my brain wants to go and activate around all these different kind of mindless thoughts. That I find that sometimes guided meditation really helps me. What I'm working on for me is allowing myself more of that unguided meditation space, because I have found, and again, you get to kind of try these on and see what works. For me, I have found I tend to have deeper downloads when I'm in the unguided meditation and I'm doing some different techniques than when I'm just doing a guided meditation. Not always. And again, that's just been my experience through that, because there is something about me really facilitating the discipline around learning how to quiet my mind down or harness what's happening with my mind without someone directing that. And so, Mel, I love that you're writing this. I've noticed how often tears flow during recent meditations. It's amazing. Anyone notice certain positions feel better with regards to breath's ability to flow? I love that, because it's one of the things we're going to talk about. Is there's a couple different positions you can put your body in, because it is about creating an expansive space where you can allow whatever needs to flow through you to channel. And I will tell you that depending on, I have found lately, especially, a lot of my meditations end up with me in tears. Not always crazy tears, but sometimes just tears from allowing myself to open up. And there's a question, for example, one of the meditations that I've been doing has been around, why do I exist? And when I get really deep in that meditation with that intention or that question that I start with, I find myself really opening up in a way that just feels like there's sort of this cleansing that needs to happen with some of what has been holding on or the constraints in my mind. And Mel says, example, sitting, I feel more restriction in breath versus laying down. So there's an example of, if you feel like you're not able to get the movement you want and you get more of it laying down, then lay down. There is no set, and there will be some people that will tell you, you got to meditate this way. It looks like this. For certain practices and techniques, yes, there is a way. I have, and we're going to talk about this, there are 5 different ways I tend to allow myself space and posture to meditate. One is in a chair like this that has a very sturdy back, putting my feet flat on the floor and allowing myself to be in a posture that is solid without being rigid. And so one of the ways, and just opening up my chest. And so I can feel sometimes, and allowing my belly to expand and contract and allowing the fullness. There are times that works well for me. There are times that sitting on my actual meditation mat or my meditation cushion with my legs crossed and sitting in a position and holding myself upright, oftentimes I have to put a pillow behind my back, is another way that I will create that upright posture to allow myself expansive flow. Like Mel's saying, there are times I do meditations at night when I lay in my bed and I allow myself to be on my back. You can do this on the floor, you can do this in your bed, and you can allow yourself to open up and be in an open receiving space. And we're going to talk about this in just a minute, because I'm going to give you a couple ways to activate yourself to get ready for that receiving of what's going to pass through you as a result of the meditation. The other two are more movement meditations for me. One is when I'm walking on the trails. There's something about breathing in and speaking and letting the trees speak to me, that when the sun is coming in, I allow myself to walk, and I make sure I'm walking in a way that allows me with the posture and to be expansive and to allow myself access, because it's all about where you're expanding versus being contracted. If you're trying to meditate and you're all over here, you're not going to get the full access of what can come through you, because you're telling the universe or source that you are closed off. What you need to do is create a posture that allows you to be open. The other space that I meditate is in water. And so it's either in a shower or in the bathtub. And I allow myself that space to feel wide open. It also allows me to feel like I'm cleansing out all of the thoughts, all of the things that maybe don't serve. And so again, those are just a couple examples of, you may find your meditation space, it changes for me, and it's dependent upon what I need. And there are some things that I do that are a regular practice that typically are me in the upright position things. And again, like I said, I'm trying to activate that more. Belly breathing while sitting is such a challenge for me. So we can work on a little bit of that, because the more you can expand, because here's the thing I want you to realize too, and where the opportunity is if you only can expand in one position or another, you're also creating some constraint and limitation. So the more you can practice, and again, it's a practice, it requires, and it will be a space where maybe you can't do it at first. It's that space of when you can practice. So one of the things I would say, that if you are struggling with feeling really expansive and getting that big opening core belly breath to be activated when you're sitting, is just like that thing that if you're finding difficulty in it, practice it more. And so maybe it's 3 deep breaths that you're taking in and you're breathing in through your body and filling your cell and holding. Maybe it's that box breathing where you're allowing yourself to breathe in on a count, hold for a count, breathe out for a count, and hold for a count. There's also a way that, say, for example, you could do a 5 by 5 by 15, which is I breathe in through my nose for 5. I breathe out through my nose for 5. And then what I do is I create an activation space that allows me to just be without breath for 15. And you can change those numbers for whatever you mean. The more you do that from a position that maybe is holding you in some contraction or is creating some constraint or resistance, the more you will create space to practice to allow yourself to find ways to be more expansive. Because here's the thing, when we have the tool of meditation available to us, and I'm going to tell you a little story that a client shared with me. We were talking about mindfulness and meditation and some things around that. And he made a comment. He said, I was at a hockey game, and it was a very competitive hockey for 12-year-old boys. And for those of you that know parents for kids that are in sports, a very highly competitive sports, you know how parents can get sometimes. And there's a lot of really contracted energy in that space. Well, he said it was interesting because it had already gotten to the point where 6 parents in this tournament, and it was like cross different states in the oh, excellent. I'm glad to hear that, Mel. So it was a competition. It was a tournament between multiple states in the Midwest. And so there's all these parents that are there. And of course, they're all charged up because their kids are in this tournament for hockey. And he said at that point, 6 parents had already been thrown out of this tournament because of the fighting, the conversation, the language, to where things started to get even further amplified. And people are screaming at each other, and like all kinds of energy is being passed. And all of a sudden you hear this mom scream at her 4-year-old, "What are you doing?" And like everything stopped because her 4-year-old was sitting in a space on the bleachers, and he was just meditating. He was being in a space of mindfulness, and she's screaming at him because all this chaos is going on, and he is choosing to 4 years old. And he said, he held up his hand and he said, I'm practicing mindfulness. The entire energy of this arena shifted. Because in a moment, a 4-year-old demonstrated leadership in a capacity that allowed the consciousness to be raised in that room to where these adults had a moment of shame for thinking, oh my God, look at us. How could, I mean, seriously, right? So think about when you can rely on a space to get open and expansive and drop in at the turn of a dime, how powerful that is. So if there are ways that you are not feeling that you can be expansive based on positions or posture, then those are the spaces that I would encourage you to practice more, so that when you're on a plane, oh, I love that I have techniques, because in airports now, when we get back to it, but airports and planes can trigger me sometimes. There's all kinds of energy. And so I allow myself a space, and the Calm app helps me tremendously. I play one of my favorite, I think it's called Celestial Beings. It's my favorite sound. And I just allow myself to drop. I allow myself to just tell myself, expand until there are no edges. Just breathe. And all of a sudden, all that noise, all that energy just dissipates. And I get to put myself and drop into a space that allows me peace. Meditation is a space to restore and own and claim your peace, as well as being able to see beyond what our eyes can show us. It's that next level of seeing. It's that inner guidance. It's that knowing. And if we have the capacity to be able to drop into that, because we've practiced it. So hopefully, and I love that you said that, Mel, I hope that helps when you think about different ways that we can activate that. And there are different postures depending on what you might need, what might serve you, and allowing yourself to feel them all and experience which ones work for you best will also help you to channel that and practice that more. And so as we get into that, that also leads me into, there's a difference between a calming meditation, one that feels more restorative, recharging, one that is helping you establish peace, and one that is, I am setting the intention to actually be given guidance for what I need to know to create greater wisdom and insight. And here's what's so fascinating about, now it's kind of, you can't do a guided and unguided at the same time. That's not going to happen. However, you could do a calming and insightful meditation at the same time. You actually could find a way to restore your inner peace and get guidance on what you need in terms of direction and that due north that's going to take you down that path. And so I say that because, again, just in those two distinctions, there's already so much that could be different for one person than another. So what I want to share with you then are 18, and I'm very high level. I'm going to also share this in the group and give you kind of like the framing. And I would suggest that if one or the other is speaking to you, to go out and look at what that might mean and how to engage with that. There are so many tools. By the way, apps like Calm, CALM, apps like Headspace, apps like Brain.fm are beautiful apps. Deepak Chopra has a whole Chopra Institute that you can do meditations. In fact, he's got a new one he's releasing with Alicia Keys that I'm going to have to check out. He does a lot of 21-day challenges. So for some of you, when I throw this gauntlet down for the challenge, might be a way to activate. I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen with him and Alicia Keys. I think that's kind of cool. He does a lot of them with Oprah. And they're usually around a certain theme, and they're like 21 days on how to meditate around this space. You can go on Spotify. You can go on Amazon Music. You can type in meditation. There are podcasts. There is no end. You can go to YouTube. There is endless resources for meditations around any of these areas. So if you're like, I don't know how to do this meditation, type in how to do this meditation. I guarantee there are resources for it. So that being said, I want to share with you a couple ways that you might bring meditation into a regular practice for yourself. One is a meditation that's called a focused attention meditation. The whole point of this is it uses an object of the breath or something else to focus your attention. So for example, I tell people oftentimes, if you've never meditated, put a candle in front of you and watch the flame. Allow yourself to not get distracted, to simply watch the flame. When you can do that for a period of time, then start to watch your breath. It's the same thing. All you're doing is focusing on one thing that is having your attention, that if a thought comes in, it just moves, but you are focusing your attention on a single thing. Oftentimes it's your breath. It could be something like a point on the wall. It could be something like a flame of a candle. It is just focusing your attention and harnessing it in one space. That is the whole point, and allowing yourself to sit in that for some period of time. The next one is known as a body scan. You can do a meditation that literally you start with the top of your head and you do a very thorough body scan through your entire body to notice how you're feeling, to notice what's contracted, to notice if there's any pain. It's not to have judgment, it's just to notice. So you're just going through doing a body scan, breathing through, feeling into what your body is trying to tell you. That is an example of a meditation, and you do it slowly and deliberately. Again, we're talking about building up to that 20 minutes of time. You might start with 5 minutes. You might start with 10. You might start with a minute, allowing yourself that stillness, right? The next one is called a noting meditation. This is simply, for those of you that have a lot of monkey mind, and a lot of chatter going on, it's simply noting what's distracting your mind. So following all of the crazy thoughts, not judging them, not participating, just following the rabbit trails where they go and letting yourself be in a space to just note all of the ways your mind is being distracted. It's crazy. It sounds counterintuitive that would be a powerful meditation. It's actually kind of wild when you start to be like, holy crap, I'm thinking about that. And you're just like noticing and you're noticing and you're noticing. And there's something about giving some of those thoughts a moment of attention that lets you kind of release them and kind of get clear. And it's amazing what can kind of move through when you're in that noting meditation. Another level of meditation is a visualization. And now oftentimes somebody may guide you through this, but it's allowing you to paint that picture. Those of you that have done life scripts with me, that is a meditation when you are listening to that activation of that visualization of what you say you want in your life. The more color, the more richness, the more you can feel it and taste it and engage in it, the more you can be present in that and feel as if it's already here. It's a great way to manifest. It is a powerful meditation in and of itself. Another form of meditation is known as loving kindness. This is where you pick somebody, and you don't have to like this person or not. Sometimes it works better for somebody that's actually irritating you, for you to take a moment to visualize that person and simply offer them the greatest level of love and kindness and grace, and to say, I choose for you to be happy. I wish for you to be joyful, and feel into offering that grace to them. There is something really powerful, and I love Tim Ferriss does this at the end of all of his talks. He does it. It's like a 10-second. He's like, I want you to think of 2 people in your mind, and I want you to think about how you can offer them love and grace and compassion and kindness. It's a loving kindness. When you take the attention off you and you put that grace on someone else, that will shift and open you for things to be able to channel through and drop in. Another type of meditation is called Skillful Compassion. It's very similar to the loving kindness. However, this is focusing on someone you love. This is paying real attention. So a lot of times I do Skillful Compassions. It's my anchoring point sometimes with Peyton, my puppy. I will think about how much I love that, who he is, that how he shows up in my life, how much my heart expands when I think about him. And what you do is you let yourself feel the sensation of what's opening in your heart. When you think, it's called Skillful Compassion, it's that ability to harness that energy of pure love you have for someone else. And so for me, for Peyton, when I can drop in and just breathe him in. I can just envision him. And it allows me then to expand and start to create a meditation. And what you do is you stay in that meditation, in that heart space, and what you're feeling in terms of that sensation. The next one is a resting awareness. This is not focusing on your breath. This is not visualization. This is simply letting your mind be. You're not noticing what it thinks. You're just letting it rest. You're just letting it be in a space of, and if a thought comes in, it just floats away. It's not putting your attention on anything. It is just allowing you a still space to rest. This one I find to be very difficult for me. I find the resting awareness to just let my brain rest, which is probably the one I need to practice more, because my brain is always activating something, to just let it be and be like, I'm not thinking about anything. But as soon as I realize I'm not thinking about something, then I start thinking about how I'm not thinking about something. So those of you that can feel me, just give me a, yeah, me too, right? Or give me a little thumbs up or a heart, because that is, and for those of you watching the replay, I want to know which ones of these resonate for you. But for me, that resting awareness is one that I have an opportunity to for sure practice more, because it is not easy for me. There is one that is around reflection, and it invites in this question, and you ask it from the second person point of view. Yeah, right? I feel y'all. You ask the reflection meditation from the point of view of as if you are looking at yourself. So from a second person, you ask yourself the question, what are you most grateful for right now? So I would say, Candy, what are you most grateful for right now? Because there's something that shifts when it's me asking myself, or it's the witness of me asking myself, versus me trying to go, what am I most grateful for right now? Because then that whole head trash starts to kick in again. When you can take yourself out to be a witness, to allow yourself to reflect on what shows up for you, you start to create a different space. And so you can go into a meditation, ask yourself, Candy, what are you most grateful for right now? And you may be journaling through that, right? That is a space for you to activate that place around gratitude. And again, that's another practice that we'll talk about on another day. Then some of the other ones might be a Zen meditation. This is that space of sitting upright. Zen is not a laying down one. Zen is a sitting upright with a really strong posture without being rigid. And it's following the breath. It's letting the mind just be, and it's just following the breath. And so there's a very Zen-like meditation that comes through for that. Mantra meditation. This could be a sound, a phrase, a word. You can do an om. It can be channeling or chanting or sound. It can also be things like, I am fearless. I am whatever. It could be a question. It could be a statement. It could be a word. Brendan Burchard does one where he says, release, release. And all you do is meditate on that word. Deepak does a lot where there's their mantra driven meditations, which I love. And I do those a lot of times when I'm falling asleep or when I'm in bed and I go somewhere and then his little chimes go off and I'm like, whoa, where did I go? And then I just doze off into sleep. It's quite beautiful when that happens. Transcendental is a very specific technique that requires a certified instructor to walk you through it. Essentially, there is a framework on how you meditate for 20 minutes twice a day, morning and evening. And it's a very structured, I've been very fascinated by it. I have not engaged in it at this point. So other than knowing that it is a very prescribed, needs to have someone who is certified to walk you through it. And it requires 2 dedicated spaces of 20 minutes twice a day, every day, is a space that a lot of people I know find to be very helpful. I actually was looking at starting to do transcendental meditation and then COVID hit. And so they actually encourage you to work with somebody in person to go through the technique versus in trying to do it virtually. So we will see what happens when we come out of the pandemic, as that is still something that is kind of appealing to me. And so anyone that may have experienced it would love your comments or thoughts in the group. The other ones are yoga, which is a form of movement. And so oftentimes this is, there's many styles and techniques. One of the more powerful ones is Kundalini. And again, you should probably have someone guide you through Kundalini practices, because I have been told that people that engage in Kundalini practices that don't know the framework can sometimes do damage versus good for what they get into a space where they can't manage that, because the energy can get really big. It's a very expansive way to open up access to very connected, deep spiritual energy that oftentimes we may not be prepared for if we've not practiced the right things in advance. So that is an option. This Pasana, which is an ancient Indian form of meditation, is another way to use your concentration to intensely examine certain aspects of your existence. And so again, this is a tribal type of meditation that has been used over the years. Qigong. Qigong is a way, and some of you know, I love to do some Qigong. Again, I like movement meditations a lot. Qigong is a way to open up energy meridians or pathways in your body to activate more. And so we've done things, tapping is a good example of that. Qigong is a way that we open up energy meridians, and I will bring an example of cupping that we can do to activate some of that on another call as well. Mel, I went to a local Transcendental meditation group to gain insight, and interested too. Maybe we can discuss. Oh, I love that. Yes, I would actually love to have an accountability partner in that, because there are aspects of that I can feel the resistance show up, because it is a very open, vulnerable space, and you are allowing someone to guide you through a very prescriptive process. Yet I know a lot of people that have seen tremendous results as a function of doing that. So Mel, I would be very interested in that. Anybody here in the Austin area, if you are interested, hit me up as well, because it might be interesting too. We might be able to get even a class for us as a private class to do together, because they only allow so many people in a class at a time, and there's a requirement and commitment. And so would love to have that conversation with anybody that's in the Austin area. And those of you that are in different areas, maybe you let people know, put in the group where you're from, so that you could potentially activate those opportunities in your neighborhood as well. So very interested in that for sure. There is also the Chakra Meditation, which is a way to open up your chakras. It's to make sure that your core centers are open, aligned, and are fluid, so that energy can move through those. And so there are meditations you can do to open up various chakras, as we tend to hold things depending on how we're wired in our human design. And for those of you that want to talk about human design, you can hit me up for that as well. Just send me a message if you're interested in some of these things. We can talk offline about what that looks like. The last couple are sound bath. Sound bath being a place where there may be bowls or chimes or gongs. There are specific sounds that are harmonized and synthesized so that you can actually focus and relax your mind. And so what happens is there are specific vibrations. Some of you may meditate to binaural beats, where you actually put your headphones in and you're listening to a certain frequency. I do a lot, especially in my morning, and when I'm working on things, I listen to a lot of 888 hertz frequency, which is an abundance prosperity space. I also do ones in the 500 and 700, depending on what I'm trying to do. Brain.fm is really good for feeding some of those things as well. And then there is walking meditations, which I've talked about, ways to connect to nature. Maybe gardening is your thing, maybe being on the water. It's those ways of connecting, those movement type meditations that put you in that very Zen connected space. Like I said, I go walk Peyton and I get download and hit and hit and hit, especially when I'm on the trails underneath the trees. I am so deeply connected. I feel very much like I have a thread that goes from me. It's why I love my house. There's so many trees around me and they speak to me constantly. And then the last one is a spiritual, and there are more types. These are just the 18 I'm sharing with you. The last one that I'm sharing is the spiritual meditation, which is when you reflect more on a prayer. So perhaps you use St. Francis of Assisi's prayer, and you actually are reflecting on that. You're meditating on that. You're being in the space of what that means. Oftentimes when I do pieces from A Course in Miracles or the Tao Te Ching, those are spiritual meditations where I'm taking a piece of that and I'm allowing that prayer to be what activates what's channeling through me. So again, lots of options inside of that space. And it is a matter of what resonates, which one or ones resonate for you, that are the opportunity for you to say, okay, I'm willing to take that on. And again, starting with a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes so that you can work up to that 20 minutes. Because again, just like Dragana showed, I love this saying, this Zen saying that says, you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day. And now I actually am letting this sink in for me, which is why I'm about to activate this challenge for those of you that want to be in it. And we're going to continue to hold each other accountable through this community, along with the other things that we're doing. And because unless you're busy, right, then you need an hour a day. So my challenge, because I love this, and this challenge actually came from, what is his name? Let me find it. His name is Pedram Shojai, and he is the author of The Urban Monk, which is on its way to my house because, of course, when I hear about a book or something, I need to be reading it. He also is the founder of the organization called well.org, which is a lot around creating greener environments and doing what's right for Mother Earth. He created a space, and I love this. And so here is my challenge that I want to see who's ready to activate and take their meditation practice to the next level so that we create it as a way of living, not just a lifestyle. He says, sit consistently for 20 minutes a day and do this for 100 days straight. So my question is, who wants to do a 100-day challenge on meditating for 20 minutes a day? And like I said, I am going to activate this as an official start date Monday, so that for some of you that are like, man, 20 minutes seems like a long time, you got a couple days to sit in a few minutes to get yourself open and comfortable so that you can do some practice this weekend in maybe the 5-10 minute space and get yourself activated so that come Monday, you're ready fully to give yourself, and I would say you're going to likely want to schedule this on your calendar. This is my 30-minute, I'm going to put a block so that I have time to get prepared. I have time to journal after. I am going to meditate for 20 minutes a day for 100 days straight. So who's in? Who is in on this challenge? I am telling you all right now, I am declaring and committing that for the next 100 days, I will, no excuses, meditate, sit in meditation in one of these forms for 20 minutes a day, every day for the next 100 days. So I am making that commitment to all of you. I would love for y'all to be joining me, and I will let you sit with that. So any questions or thoughts about meditation before I wrap it up for today? Again, you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day unless you're busy. Then you should sit in meditation for an hour. So I just want you to realize we have a lot of opportunity. We keep thinking we need to look outside ourselves. We keep thinking we need external validation, external anything, when actually what we need is we need a space of stillness. We need a space to be able to extend our ability to see and to be in a distracted space to really connect into the oneness of who we are and allow our inner guidance to channel through us to open up the pathway for infinite possibilities. So with that, I hope that some of this has landed in a way that activates you. As we talk about higher consciousness, we do need to create more stillness in order to know what's being channeled through us. So that being said, all right, let's do this. Good, Mel, I hope that means you're in. So 100-day challenge, I'm going to activate it Monday. I am going to put some things in the group to reinforce what I talked about today, some frameworks. And then I want to know, I want you to declare it and commit when I ask the question, who's in. I will post I'll post a post for lack of a better way to say that. I will put a post up that just says who's in, because I want us to be able to hold each other accountable through that process and make sure that we're checking in and giving each other the support and encouragement that we need. So with that, everybody, so grateful that you are here on a Thursday morning. I love you deeply and sending you just great reverence. Hope you are having a magical day and week so far, and hope that something through this conversation has activated you to be more intentional. Because, and before we close this out, I want to give you a couple of guidelines. I told you I would do that. So one of the easiest ways that you can start any meditation technique or practice is to find a posture. And usually you want to start with a posture that allows you to be upright, because usually that gives you more freedom to be able to expand out and sit up so that you can indicate to the universe that you are ready to receive. And so the other thing is you take your thumb and finger, because it's a natural grounding point. It also allows you to have your hands open or in a place to say, I'm ready to receive. So again, your body, your posturing, the way you set yourself up, you put your feet flat on the floor. You allow yourself to be in an upright posture, expanded, not rigid, and allow yourself to create a natural grounding point for yourself. And the best way to start your meditation, it does not matter which practice you or which type you try, is to set your intention first. So what you want to do is you want to actually sit with your back straight and erect, not rigid. You want to plant your feet firmly on the ground, unless you're choosing a meditation cushion, which then, of course, upright position and you can cross your legs, but it's in a space to be open to receive. Place your hands in your lap facing upward as a sign of receptivity, forefinger to thumb. Close your eyes and establish an intention to wake up. So your intention, anytime you go into an opportunity, is to wake up to higher consciousness. My intention for this meditation is to wake up and see more. My intention is to wake up and gain greater guidance. My intention is to wake up to a higher level of knowing and consciousness. My intention is to wake up. That's all you need, is that intention, and to have a realization of your oneness and connectedness to all, to life. And then notice you're exercising dominion over your attention. You are letting your attention know what you want it to focus on. You are focusing on. So let your attention be your intention. And so allow yourself to be in a space to say, I choose to wake up, and allow your attention to stay on that intention. And then notice you get to place your attention anywhere you want it to go. You are in control. I know you don't think you are sometimes, but when you're crazy, you can tell your ego, I've got this. I choose to pay attention to this. And then notice your breath. Your eyes are closed. And it's the space of you are allowing yourself to feel the breath as it's happening presently. You're bringing yourself into the present moment, because you can't breathe in the future and you can't breathe in the past. We need to bring, and that's why you focus on the breath, because the breath brings you into the present moment. And so then what I want you to realize is enter into, and this is really important. I don't care if you are a master at meditation. And I love that Michael Beckwith says this. Doesn't matter if you've been meditating for years, you meditate every day. Enter each meditation with a beginner's mind, as if it's your first meditation and you are open to receiving whatever the meditation has in store for you to access. So again, you set your intention. I choose to wake up. Help me wake up. And I have a beginner's mind. And then listen intently, as if someone were going to share the biggest, juiciest secret with you, that you need to be really, when a little kid tells you a secret and you got to really listen, because sometimes you can't understand what they're saying, but you got to get it. I want you to be in that space in your meditation, as if you're waiting for someone to give you the inside scoop on a secret that no one else knows about. When you go in with a beginner's mind and you go in waiting to receive a secret, it is what's called reverential alertness. It's not being passive. It's allowing you to listen, actively listen in a way to receive. And so that's what I want you to think about as you get into any one of these types of meditation, is that you set your intention, that this is an opportunity for you to wake up further, that you come at it from a beginner's mind, and that you allow yourself to be open and receptive to that secret that so wants to be shared with you, that whisper that's just waiting to be heard. And when you do that, it will be magical what starts to show up. So again, 100-day challenge. We're going to activate that on Monday. Get some practice in this weekend. And I will be posting in the group to see who wants to join and commit to being part of this challenge. So with that, everybody, have a fantastic and blessed day. And I will talk with you soon. Mwah! I love you all.